Also, do not shorten your life on your own, no matter how wonderful the spiritual world is. If you commit suicide, you will be trapped in the darkest darkness. The image is like this. The sun is shining everywhere. In a corner of the room, wearing many black plastic bags, and keep struggling, it's dark. It's painful. I'm lonely. This is the path many suicides follow. We must live lives to the fullest until the end of our lives. That's what I have to say to the human race of 2000 years. The language of mankind is too limited in its expressive power, so in the case of communications from the spirit world or the future, words and phrases that are close to the nuance of the message are deliberately chosen to be conveyed. It is inevitable that nuances are not conveyed. In addition, it has become common sense since 3000 that both individuals and countries have to pay for their own crimes. The United States was once excluded from the world because it was overkill. Surprisingly, Japan was the catalyst for this. This proves that Japan is a world leader. Japanese government secretly consulted with other countries, saying, let's try how they react if we exclude the US from the international conference. As a result, the first ever international conference without the United States was held. This caused the US more psychological anguish than starting a war. For the US, which wants to be a leader and lead the world, being left behind was more painful than being forced into war. As a result, the US lost a lot of its centripetal force for the international community. And for a while, it was left out like North Korea was in 2000. However, over a long period of time, the US itself changed its behavior and was able to gain the forgiveness of the international community and return to the community. Swedenborg's spiritual communication is immature in content and includes factual misunderstandings, but it is generally correct. To explain why Swedenborg was able to make such a communication. Every night, while we are sleeping, we are taken to the spirit world by our guardian and other guides, and we have various experiences. Some people come here to work, while others are brought here to heal their tired minds or for entertainment. However, when they return to their human bodies, their brains are not able to hold these memories. This is because the brain is too small. A small container can't hold all the water, and it spills all over the place. Therefore, ordinary people are left with only fragmented memories and feel that they have had a strange dream or something like that. In the case of Swedenborg, his memories of the previous night's visit to the spirit world were extremely vivid. He was in charge of conveying the contents from the spirit world, and were at a level where they could be preserved in print. At that time, he had the most outstanding mind and body. Swedenborg's spirit world correspondence is a compilation of these memories. Of course, there are mistakes such as the depiction of hell and the forced classification of the spirit world into 7 stages, but it is difficult for humankind in 2000 to understand them. I can only say roughly correct. Because each person has a different understanding. After 3000 AD, Japanese people usually go on school trips to the moon. The stars that human beings live in are the Earth, the Moon, and Mars. At first, several countries, including the US, started to get on board and emigrate, but in the middle of the process, everyone started to hate it. The main reason is that Mars has the lowest spirituality among the planets in our solar system, and Mars is the only planet with a lower spirituality than Earth. Mars migrants fought fiercely and quarreled with each other. They even started a war with each other. It was even worse than on Earth. And many people testified that they felt uncomfortable when they moved to Mars. The answer is simple: if you move to a star that is less spiritual than the one you lived in, you will be affected by that low spirituality, and your mental state will be distorted, and your reason will be easily lost. This is because it turned out to be the cause of. On the contrary, the moon has a higher spiritual level than the Earth, and after spending a while on the moon, it becomes a very calm personality, so it has come to be used as a medical treatment for mentally ill patients. Jupiter is the most spiritual planet in the solar system. A message was issued to humankind from the spirit world. Jupiter also has life forms. Due to differences in gravity and environment, it is difficult to communicate at the same level. Therefore, strive for the Earth human beings to raise their spiritual level and communicate with the Jupiter. This is a new directive that has been issued to humans since the year 3000. The mistakes made by humans must be settled by humans themselves. That is the universe. It's also the law of the spirit world. Whether it's pollution or war, it's all human responsibility. In addition, we do not have the scientific technology to travel to other planets with the level of science of 3000. We have already found hundreds of planets where life forms can live, but we have no way to get there. On the other hand, there are a great many patterns of rebirth on Earth from other planets. To put it simply, the level of humankind on Earth is too low. The tragedy that comes from the lack of spiritual knowledge. The end is war. Project for the salvation of humanity on Earth has been started on the largest scale in the universe. In the year 2000, the Earth was the only place in the universe that was at war. I also want you to know that there are spirits in the spirit world who are thinking of stopping this tragedy at all costs, saying, "We just can't let this situation go." The purpose of the inhabitants born on a planet is all the same. It is even prepared as preparation for being born on the Earth. Residents born on this planet are determined to be born on Earth next time. After being born on Earth, they spend their whole lives studying how to avoid demonic behavior, take spiritually correct actions, and contribute to the spiritual evolution of humanity on Earth. In the 1900s, many spirits lamented in the spirit world, saying, it was completely useless to be born on the Earth, because they lost the vibrations peculiar to the Earth and lived a corrupt life even though they were born. However, since 2000, it seems that the number of spirits who can overcome temptation and spend their lives meaningfully has gradually increased. Thanks to those people, a paradise Earth since 3000 has existed. In a word, because of the human beings on Earth who entered the spirit world without knowing that there is an afterlife, they are causing a lot of trouble on the spirit world side. There is a consideration on the part of the spirit world that does not overtly say to humans on Earth, "You are a nuisance." To put it simply, the state of the spirit world at the time of war is as follows. It's like a field hospital. One after another, wounded spirits are brought in, and the spirits in the spirit world who are taking care of the people of the Earth are in a state of overwhelm. Some spirits are simply crying out from the horrors of war. Other traumatized spirits are sent to us one after another, day after day, saying, it is no longer possible for the people of the Earth to save themselves on their own. The only way to do this is to work strongly from the spirit world side, and for this reason, work from the spirit world has been strongly promoted. Human beings in 2000, who were blinded by matter, would not be able to understand that very much, but it has become common sense in human beings after 3000. From the point of view of humans in the year 2000, humans after 3000 have become a paradise. And yet, evolution continues. Communicate telepathically with the inhabitants of other planets in our solar system. That's the challenge we have been given. Mankind in 2000 doesn't need to know that much. However, it is a guide given by the spirit world to disseminate that knowledge to as many people as possible about the world after death. The truth is, we came down to the Earth to experience pain and suffering, and to live a difficult life. As a messenger from the future, I would like to share with you a couple of useful knowledge that can be passed on to humanity in the year 2000. I'm sure many of you already know this. Many people are worried about the effects of radiation from nuclear power plants. Unfortunately, radiation is harmful to the human body. I think it is natural to say, stop talking so much and give us some useful knowledge. If I were in the opposite position, I would think the same thing. So, I would like you to spread the word about the fastest way to get rid of radiation. Inspired scientists have already started to publish their findings. The quickest way to get rid of as much radiation as possible from your body and stay healthy is to go abroad and enter the Dead Sea. If you are traveling abroad from Japan, I urge you to give this a try. When you bathe in water like the Dead Sea, which is several times saltier than the world's oceans. Even for a short period of time, your body will try to expel the radioactive materials. Humans in the year 2000 must have known that high salt content can overcome radiation. The messenger from the future is praying that the human beings of the past will be able to live a happy life. The fact is that there is no such thing as a spirit that comes to life with the intention of committing suicide. There are many reasons why people commit suicide. The overwhelming majority are due to an escape attitude that cannot overcome the hurdles that must be overcome. If we issue a strong warning from the spirit world and from the future, you will never be burdened with more than you can carry. This is something that human beings in the year 2000 barely understood. Luggage that cannot be carried on your back will never be accidentally carried on your back. If such a situation occurs, not only the universe but also the spirit world will be blown away without a trace. There is absolutely no mistake in the mechanism of the spirit world. Whether you are a person who died in a war or a person who died in an accident, you are 100% sure to be able to explain. Only advanced people who can accept that knowledge can understand it. Certainly, the level of Japanese people is high. There are many reasons for this. Most Japanese people have had previous lives and possess some level of evolved intelligence and spiritual qualities, so they decide in the spirit world to take on new challenges and choose Japanese parents to be born. It is unlikely that a person is born Japanese by chance. If you are not yet intellectually and spiritually developed, you may be born as a child of a tribe in an uncivilized jungle. It is not uncommon to die of starvation or tribal warfare. At the level of human development in 2000, dialogue with the guardian spirit is theoretically possible, but as a matter of fact, almost impossible. In other words, even a human being called a psychic is almost impossible. Because there is no end to the low-ranking spirits who pretend to be "I am your guardian spirit." This is often deceived even by psychics. So, what kind of psychic can we communicate with? A person who is full of love, sincere, does not show himself, accepts spiritual truths obediently, devotes himself to the work of God, and is not obsessed with earthly calculations. Only a psychic who fulfills all of these conditions will be able to communicate with properly. However, there is no one who meets these conditions. The current situation in 2000 is that even if you try to find a psychic with a similar personality, it is difficult to find one. No matter how enthusiastically you look for a reliable psychic, the current situation in 2000 was that you wouldn't find one, so you should devote yourself to improving your daily life and working. We strongly recommend that you do something to someone for free. Either way, the guardian spirit is attached until you die, for a certain period of time after death, so you should concentrate on doing your best in your daily life. If you try to force yourself to talk to your guardian spirit, you will often find that you are just talking to a low-level spirit who is impersonating you. This is because there are many patterns. In after 3000, the big difference in 2000 is that most people know that the spirit is the main actor and the body is just a tool. After 1,000 years, you will think that the world of spirits would become so much clearer. Therefore, the degree of evaluation of people will be fundamentally different. The rich man who only cares about his own self-interest will be despised by everyone. On the other hand, people who take the initiative to serve the socially vulnerable will be respected. Also, in 3000, only those who are spiritually fallible, who do not recognize the spirit world, will commit crimes. Prisons after the year 3000 will have a completely different appearance and will be extremely capable of rehabilitation. In 2000, prisons were designed to isolate criminals, but after 3000, punishment is given according to the degree of development of individual spirits and knowledge. The death penalty will be almost non-existent in the human race. The country that carries out the death penalty becomes a problem that international credibility disappears at once. Even if the death penalty is eliminated, the most serious crime that can be committed in place of the death penalty is being thrown alone into a jungle that can be described as uncivilized. In reality, all of this is monitored by surveillance cameras, but you are thrown into an empty place, alone, and repeatedly put into a state of near starvation and near death. Just before he is about to die, a prison guard rides in to give him a little nourishment, but he is immediately pulled out and is left to fend for himself. At night, they are kept in darkness. There is no one to talk to, and you are left in complete solitude. Moreover, it is a repetitive process, and is feared as a punishment more terrible than the death penalty. The degree of the person's remorse is monitored by the psychic, and until the person says, "From the bottom of my heart, I'm sorry," the person will be thrown into the forest as many times as necessary until he or she feels, "I was wrong, and I want to be made to pay for my sins." Even if the death penalty is eliminated, crimes more serious than the death penalty are waiting for us on the earth after 3000. In a previous life, she was a beautiful woman who took advantage of her good looks to take as much money as she could from men, without having a single ounce of compassion for them, and used her good looks to do whatever she wanted. When the woman is reincarnated, some spirits have to pay for their sins by being tormented since childhood because they were born with ugly faces or ugly birthmarks. It may not be that many, but it is an undeniable fact that there are spirits who have to live that kind of life. There are many cases of people being born as mentally handicapped when they are reincarnated as a punishment for misusing their talents in a previous life. Most of the mentally handicapped people in the world are confined to a crippled body and suffer the pain of being unable to do anything as a punishment for misusing their talents in their previous lives. Most of the human beings after 3000 consider this knowledge as common sense. Unfortunately, it's hard for humans in 2000 to know that. It doesn't matter if your face is weird, if you don't have a girlfriend, or if your body is not sexually satisfying, you should try your best to do it in your own way. When your lifespan comes to an end, they will automatically raise you to the spirit world. I'm sure you'll be happy to hear that. After death, you can take a rest. As long as you live in the body, it is impossible to escape from suffering. If there is one thing we are blessed with, it is probably that you're not a millionaire. First of all, be happy about that. Rich people rarely look at these places. For the poor, entering the spirit world is liberation from slavery, while for the rich, entering the spirit world is unspeakable horror. The richer you are, the more you are automatically obligated to serve the weak, and if you fail to do so and live your life only in your own luxury, your meaningless life will be exposed after you enter the spirit world. You don't need money in the spirit world, and you can't make someone listen to you with money. You should know that the rich exist to serve the weak. Many human beings after 3000 know it as common sense. For those who are tired of life and enter the spirit world, more than enough rest is given.